Grandma, I'm kind of famous right now. Like my video on YouTube's has 300,000 views. She's like, what?
You're famous? What's that? Your Xbox got you famous?
Tilbake I 2015 la Dan Diebold ut et bilde på Reddit av den eneste eksisterende prototypen av den berykta Nintendo PlayStation. I dag turnerer han sammen med faren sin over hele verden for å vise frem den historiske konsollen, og på turen så har han vært innom Norge.
So essentially it is just a Super Nintendo with a disk drive. It doesn't have any extra like processing power or anything. So no, it won't play PlayStation games. That's the one question I get all the time. After the Super Nintendo came out, I'm sure everybody knows about Super Nintendo. Nintendo wanted to make a gaming console that played games off of discs. So what they did was they went to Sony, because at the time Sony was #1 in CD technology and sales and everything like that. So they went to Sony and they're like, hey, we want to make this video game system that plays games off of disc. What they did was they worked with Sony to create this system, and Sony announced at CES, I forget what year. 91? Yeah, they announced at CES 91 that they were making a system with Nintendo. And then the very next day, Nintendo announced that they were not making a system with Sony and instead making a system with
stage.
Yeah. And they were instead making a system with Philips. So I guess Sony was like, well, we spent all this time developing a video game system, why not make our own? And then that's when they created the PlayStation that everybody knows.
When I worked at Atlanta Bank Corporation, you know, like they did back in 2009, hundreds of banks were going bankrupt. My boss had me go to the 2 boardrooms that we had, one in Delaware and one in Philly, and pack up the cups, plates, and saucers from the boardroom. And a lot of it was silver lined. And when you got 8 board members, you buy enough for like 11 people because you get guests. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, this stuff is really nice, because, you know, a lot of it was still packed up, brand new, you know. And so I was like, I'm going to bid on this stuff. Well, since I packed the boxes, they had 3 boxes that they had showed on screen with the cups, plates, and saucers in there. The bidding started at 25. I said 50. Went to 65. Said 75, and it stopped. Well, I mean, people thought I was probably nuts bidding $75 for 3 boxes, but they didn't read the small print. So it literally took me 2 carloads to get all this crap home. But when I won the auction, I went back and the auctioneer showed me my lot. It was really freaking huge. And I'm like, dude, I didn't pack half this shit. So what they apparently did was made bigger lots instead of smaller ones, because we had to get out of the buildings. And so when I got the stuff home, anything that I had written on, I set aside. Anything I didn't, I just started opening boxes. And when I did, there was one box with like 250, 300 music CDs in it. You know, a lot of them still wrapped in cellophane from back in the 90s, owned by Olaf Olsen. Anything I'm talking about at this point was owned by Olaf Olsen from Sony, who was the president back then. I opened up another box. There was some wing tips in their shoes. Yeah, he had some big feet. And then there were some silk ties and other ties in there. I let my better half check and look at the ones she wanted to see me. He had them clean, kept them, gave the rest away. And then another box I opened up, it had like, I don't know, how many games do you think were in there? 30-ish?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, from back in the 90s, still a lot of them wrapped in cellophane, doubles and triples with some of them. Right now we just, a lot of 3DO, some 3DO, some PlayStation ones. So the ones that are open we play now. The other ones are just going to stay sealed. And then what else? When I opened up the box, actually, this was in there. One and only controller says Sony PlayStation on the front, Nintendo on the back, which is weird. And then the boot cart that came with it. Whoop, sorry. The boot cart, which they actually spray painted, because you can see it's dark gray and it says Nintendo on the back. And then it had the one and only prototype in there. And when we saw this, we just thought it was something cool. We didn't make a connection. Sony PlayStation and Nintendo on the back. It just went over my head. You know what I mean? And then one day, I guess the gaming gods told him to go on Reddit, and he can take the story from here.
So we had this thing for years, and
6 years.
I knew it was special, but I didn't realize how special it was. I didn't realize it was the only one, but I was on Reddit one day, and I saw this post that was like, hey, like today I learned that Nintendo and Sony used to work together for a short period of time, blah, 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 blah. And I went in the comments and I was like, hey, I think I might have one of these. And everybody's like, yeah, okay, bud.
Yeah, they expletive, you know, they weren't being kind to him at all, man.
Nah. So I called my father up because I was living on the other side of the country. I was like, hey, I need you to go into the attic and get that old system out that you brought home from work. He's like, what? Why do you need me to do that? It's buried up there. And he's got like old computers and stuff like that.
Old man, old stuff.
Yeah. And I was like, please just go in the attic and find it and send me some pictures. And he's like, okay, I'll get back to you in a couple days. It's gonna take me a while. So he had this awful flip phone and took these pictures and sent them to me. And I was like, I cannot post these online. Like,
It's like
people are
finding
gonna tear me up. Yeah, it's like those pictures you see of Bigfoot where it's blurry, you kind of squint, you can see like a little bit of detail. But so yeah, I didn't post them online. I was like, I can't put these online. So I went back to my father's house like months later on holiday.
July 4th weekend.
And I stopped by just to say hello, and he's like, I got that thing out of the attic too, that if you want to take some better pictures of it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot about it. I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll take pictures. So I took pictures, I went on Reddit and I was like, hey guys, sorry it took me forever, but here's the pictures I was telling you about. Like, it took me half a year to get these pictures on Reddit.
Yeah, everybody's busting on them to get it done.
Yeah.
I mean,
Enough time to fake it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much, yeah, that's what we got.
And then that night I went to the pub with a couple friends, you know, ended up staying at my friend's house, my phone died, so I had no idea what was going on, and I plugged my phone in the next morning and it just started going crazy, and I was like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? Like, right when it turned on, it started ringing, and I picked up the phone, I was like, hello? He was like, hi, is this Dan Diebold? I was like, yeah. He's like, are you the one that posted the pictures online of the Nintendo PlayStation? I said, yeah, that's me. Like, how'd you get my phone number? So I got it off your LinkedIn account, and I was like, oh geez, like I immediately took it down. I was like, he's like, don't worry, I won't give it to anybody. I was like, okay. He's like, my name's Brian, I'm from Polygon. He started asking me some questions and did a little interview with him. And he's like, hey, can you go and take like a quick video? I said, yeah, no problem. So I called my dad up, I was like, I'm coming back over, get the system out again, like we gotta shoot a video. He's like, all right. I don't know, a lot of people have seen in my father's kitchen. He's got this stove on his counter from like the infomercials, and people are like, I can't believe somebody actually bought that.
yeah, but they're not focusing on this. They're bitching about what's in my kitchen, you know?
Because this video has 1 million views.
Yeah, 1.3 million views.
Change up probably.
And yeah, so I posted that online, and then all day I was like with my family, like with my grandma. I'm like, Grandma, I'm kind of famous right now. Like my video on YouTube's it has 300,000 views. She's like, what?
You're famous? What's that? Your Xbox got you famous?
So this thing is worth a lot of money. Why don't you sell it?
The one over here in Norway was a little over $1 million American dollars for it. But my son will tell you, by the time we split the cash, we pay our taxes on it, I pay off some of my debts. Probably after everything's said and done, I'll have 20,000, 30,000 American dollars sitting at home going, you dumbass. And like he says, we get to go out and meet a lot of amazing gaming people that are in the industry. I mean, we get to hang out with our friends in the OGO World Tour from Hong Kong, our Mortal Kombat buddies, you know what I mean? John Delancey, I mean, we've been shooting the shit with him. Charles, what's his last name?
Charles Martinet.
Yeah, I mean, we spent,
Mario.
yeah. It's me, Mario. I mean, we were out hanging out with him, and stuff. So, it's fun.